Hey guys, it's G-Man on the Switch here, coming right back at you with another ranking video. Today we're ranking CTR tracks, and today we're gonna see which ones are good, which ones are bad, or at least in my opinion, and have a make sure I have a good time. Like, subscribe, please. I only have 6 subscribers. I'd hope to at least get 10 subscribers by maybe the end of March. So send this to all your friends and tell them to subscribe. And yeah. Anyways, here we go. In last place we have Dragon Mines. This is a very kind of boring course. It's kind of a boring course and at its best, and it's kind of a frustrating course at its worst. So the track design is kind of just like a little bump over here, and then there's a corkscrew with a diverging path. You take a turn over here, and then so far nothing's too egregious yet. There's a big lake. It's kind of cool in the CTR Nitro Field version, but it doesn't really matter. You take a turn over here, and then here's where the issue with this is that this minecart track is actually where the path diverges, and that's kind of the issue with what shows on the map. And if you go in here, you have a high chance of getting ran over by a minecart. The primal route of speedruns is actually to go through the minecart path and then go back on the top of the corkscrew. But really, the most annoying part of the track is this corkscrew here, which really isn't too easy to maintain reserves on, because you either fall down or bump into a wall, and yeah, it's not very easy to do that. And then you go back through here, and then there's the one turbo pad that you just hit over there. And that's kind of the issue with this track. It just doesn't let you go too fast because of that corkscrew and that one turbo pad. So, yeah, this track's just kind of boring and frustrating at the same time. This is probably just not that fun. In 17th place, we have Dingo Canyon. This course is just kind of forgettable in my opinion. Just a second, we have to wait for it to load. God damn, man. Alright, so noticing this right at the bat, this is like a desert with cacti. It kind of looks like Arizona, which I kind of like how it looks like Arizona, but this course is really just kind of forgettable. This course isn't really too memorable. There's nothing about this that you would. There's a couple of things that go on. There's this ramp that's kind of to get mini turbos off of. Then there's this part where you have to hop over the water. I really don't necessarily like this part at all. It's just not that fun. And hopping over platforms of water like that is more of a is more like a 2D kart racer thing, like the original Super Mario Kart Super Circuit. And it just doesn't fit that well with CTR's system of movement. And there's also that big jump that was back there, but that's kind of it. This course is just kind of, it's not very memorable. It's just kind of alright. Also, yeah, I forgot to say it, but credit to Gamer GJB, same guy made almost all the videos for my Mario Kart 8 video, so credit to him. And anyways, next video. Next up, we have Tiger Temple. Right at the bat, So, let's just wait for this. Sorry. Looking at the track, this is just this is very basic for track design standpoint, and it looks like a Mushroom Cup course from Diddy Kong Racing, yeah, it looks like a Mushroom Cup course from Diddy Kong Racing. I mean, Diddy Kong Racing doesn't have a Mushroom Cup, but you guys know what I mean. It looks like a starter course. from the map perspective. But it's looking at this so far. You take a turn over here, and then there's a lot of ramps. This course just leans heavily into ramps and bumps and everything in between, and that's just kind of its main like selling point. The bump and this section where you could see previous parts, racers go over previous parts of the track, but that isn't very I don't know what to say. It's just not that interesting. And the issue I have with this are those tiny little heads that breathe fire. They're really hard to see, and they're really annoying to deal with. I really don't like those. And it's kind of it's raining. That's cool. And there's this shortcut too. That's kind of cool, but that's really it. This course is just bumps and these really thin hallways, and then that shortcut. That's really everything this course has, and it's not really that much. So, yeah, it's just kind of forgettable too. Next up, we have Turbo Track. This track's main selling point is there's a lot of turbo pads. And this track has a lot of super turbo pads, which make your car go very fast and go boingy. And there's a lot of bumps here, and it's kind of simple track design. It's kind of simple track design up until this M that this guy's about to reach. Looking at this, you can see there's a B, there's a little M right here. That's kind of annoying. It's just kind of alright. It's really nothing to note. This M's not really anything to note, but it's still like, it's kind of hard to go through it without like brake drifting. But I mean, it's not that hard. It's really not that annoying though. And I do like to play this on time trials a lot. I do this quite a bit if I'm just feeling like something a little more simplistic without any of those like special track design things, or any like without any like complex track design, or just anything really too annoying. I mean, it's not that bad. The M is kind of annoying, but that's really all this course has, and it's a pretty fun course as long as you know how to as long as you know how to drift correctly, then you should be fine. This course is pretty fun if you know how to drift correctly, so yeah. Anyways, it's a solid track overall though. It's still like CTR though, because the M. Next up we have Slide Coliseum, the sister course to Turbo Track. It's a coliseum where you slide. Okay, that's a very bad joke. But this course is very swirly. It's big squigglies. It's big on squigglies. It's big on like squigglies. Like, see? It's just really big on squigglies. And it works on the opposite premise that Turbo Track has. There is exactly 0 turbo pads. Not a singular one on this entire track. 0. But there are some fun parts where you could take a shortcut over the grass right there, where you can hop over it. That part's kind of cool. And then there is it's just a lot of drifting, and this course relies heavily on you drifting. And to be honest, it's not that bad. It is kind of forgettable. It gets overshadowed by literally almost every course in this game, which either have frustrating parts or at least like have a lot of turbo pads, like its brother course, Turbo Track. But anyways, it's still a solid course, and there's just a lot of turns. And I find that pretty nice, but I think it's pretty funny how the CTR developers put this as the last course of the Crash Cup in multiplayer. aka the special cup equivalent. And I find that really funny because this is just kind of a very anticlimactic way to end. And I find it really funny that they decided to do that. It's just a very funny way to end out the game. But, I mean, still, it is kind of hard if you don't know what you're doing. But it's still pretty fun. It's enjoyable. It's just kind of forgettable. It's like a C tier. Next up, we have Coco Park. And I paired this with Moo Moo Farm. I remember this guy on my CTR versus Mario Kart 64 video said, "Oh, dude, he said he always thought of Coco Park and Luigi Raceway as similar because they both have a simplistic design and tunnels. And to be honest, I see the resemblance. I mean, I paired this one with Moo Moo Farm and just thought, wow, grassy circle, go boingy. But yeah. Anyways, so this is it's really it's very simple. Like this is essentially a mushroom cup. This looks like a mushroom cup course and essentially is. I don't know why they put this so late in the game, but it's essentially just a mushroom cup course with a couple of turbo pads. And this course is really nothing to say about it. It just has no depths. And that's why it's not that good. It gets overshadowed by a lot. And the only thing that carries it is its aesthetic. Anyways, it's like it's C tier. Anyway, next up, it's his literal brother course, because Crash is Coco's brother, or the fuck. Anyway, so I mean, they are similar, but they both have like a kind of circular shape. So this course kind of has a lot more depth than most starter courses have. First off, I don't know why this guy just didn't drift there, though. That really burns my eyes. But you could jump up here, and you could go on that little pirate ship right there, or you could go on this platform, and there's an item crate. There's also this ship, which is cool. Then you go down on this bridge, which is really cool. And then you go over to, there's a maroon ship where you could take it for the iron box but get a slower route, or you could or you could go the bomb route and not get it. And then there's a couple of turbo pads at the end, and then yeah, that's it. If there's a jump at the beginning that you could jump off of that this guy skipped both times, which really doesn't make me happy. But yeah. Anyways, it's very solid. It's a very kind of just basic course. It's like C to B tier. It's just kind of a starter course though, so you can't do anything too complex though. But at least it has some depth compared to Coco Park, which is I think the Star Cup equivalent, which is unacceptable. But next up, we have the other starter course to this game, Roo's Tubes. It's Tubes Go Roo. Let's just click that button. Alright, starting off, you take this big jump down here, and then you drift, and this is, you turn over here, and then you take another big jump, and then you go over here, you take a couple of turns. This is really just a course that helps you get used to mini turboing, and it has a really good aesthetic. Like, these underwater tubes are kind of cool, and it's a very cool aesthetic, and it fits with Crash Bandicoot pretty well. And then there's this end part where it's actually like in this like muddy section with a skeleton. You could take a shortcut across there if you know how to use your reserves correctly, or just have Aku Aku. And and then that's the end of the course. When you look at it, it's kind of just a glorified 8 when you look at it. Like, take a look at that mini map. Tell me look at me straight in the face and tell me that is not an 8. That little bump is the only thing that's preventing it from being a literally figure 8 circuit for Mario Kart DS. and also those bumps that are on the track. But seriously, man, I mean, it is a little more complex than figure eight circuit, but still, it's kind of simple. But I mean, it's one of the starter courses, so I mean, what do you really expect? I mean, it's still fun though. It's a pretty nice course if you just want to just get used to your mini turbos. So yeah, solid course. It's the first B tier, but it's still just kind of boring. All right. So next up we have Mystery Caves, the third course that you encounter in this game. Alright, so you're in a cave. This is the first time they use it in the game, but I think they use this aesthetic like 3 times. Alright, right off the bat, you get a couple of turbo pads over here. Then take another turn, and these bobbing turtles, there's these bobbing turtles, the one right here. They bob up and down, and you have to hit the one that's up, otherwise you're going to get stuck in the water. And that's kind of annoying, but I mean, it's not too bad, but I usually mess it up anyways because I'm kind of dumb, and I'm really bad at timing too. But anyways, you go down, there's a fork in the road, and then you take another turn, and then there's lava bubbles, and then the lava bubbles from Super Mario Bros. Came here. They wanted to take a visit and try to kill somebody, but yeah, those are kind of cool. And then then you just go back to here with another bobbing turtle, another one too, and then you go back to here where you take a turn, another turn, another bobbing turtle, and then you're back at the start. There's a lot of bobbing turtles in that, and those lava balls from Super Mario Bros. I think Bowser's still looking for them. I think that's kind of cool though. But anyways, it's a kind of cool course, but it's still too basic to be like A or S, so it's still B. Next up, we have the wait a second. I accidentally, while I was doing this, I accidentally put all of the starter courses in a row by accident. I don't know how I didn't notice that, but I accidentally did that while making the tier list for this. I didn't notice until right now. I find that pretty funny. But it's just a kind of gradual. But anyways, this course is kind of just. Fun fact, I actually forgot this course in the first draft of the tier list, and I accidentally was like, oh shoot. I was looking through to make sure I didn't forget anything. I was like, oh shoot, there's 17. I'm sure I didn't miss anything. I was like, oh, it's Sewer Speedway. This is the course with the big hole right there. Big hole right there. You could try to take a shortcut with, but it's too hard to really pull off. Only speedrunners can do that, and even then, they only take like half of it and then jump back down. Then there's these circular sections with toxic barrels. This is the third time they use an underground aesthetic. Then you take a big jump into this tube. You drift through here. I think this is like technically the one of the 4 tracks in the game that uses an underground aesthetic. And it's like, wow, original. Like, I don't know. I mean, it still is kind of cool. And then you take a big jump, and then you're back. All these forks in the road, though, I used to always get stuck on the middle of them by accident, because I'm completely dumb. I always stay in the middle of the track. And, yeah, it's solid, though. It is kind of forgettable, but still is really cool. And that shortcut is, oh, look, this guy actually did it. That big jump is really cool, though. Anyways, real solid course. I'd recommend you try it out if it's one of your first times playing. And, yeah, solid enough. Anyways, Papu's Pyramid, or as I like to call it, the Shortcut Pyramid. Why do I like to call it that? Well, let's go through the track, and first let's reveal the intentional shortcuts and then the unintentional ones. Alright, so when you're going over here, there's a little shortcut in between these two signs. You jump, and then you jump. And there's also these two paths over there, which are faster. And you can take a shortcut up there, which are really cool. And then that's just the intended shortcuts. You could cut off, I think you would cut off like the last turn of the track here, if you're like a speedrunner. And then, I'm sorry. You could also, at the beginning of the track, there you could hop onto that wall and just skip the entire track. Well, I mean, what's the fun in that? This course is really fun, but this spiral at the beginning is kind of annoying, but it's not as annoying as the spiral in Dragon Mines, because at least like there's walls on both sides instead of a wall and a pit, so it's at least a little less stressful, unless you're claustrophobic or whatever the fuck it's called. Sorry, but yeah. Anyways, really solid course. It's the first A tier here, so yeah, let's hope. It's a really solid course, and it's a really cool aesthetic that hasn't been really used by any other racing games. So yeah. Anyways, next up we have Polar Pass. Well, many people like to say the best course in the game is, but I have a couple of issues I would like to pick with it, though. And for some reason, this course really reminds me of Bowser Castle 2 from the original Super Mario Kart. You guys may be wondering, what the fuck does this have to correlate to this? Well, I'll show you. Going through here right at the bat, we have this turn where it's like nothing, there's not a clear route. Like, it's just like where there's not like, is there a good way to go? Is there not? Like, I don't know. Like this section, like it reminds me of that section in Bowser Castle 2 with the squares. And then you take another turn here. And then here's the jumps that are kind of like the other Bowser Castle courses in Super Mario Kart, but I'm sure there's a section like this in Bowser Castle 2. And you take a couple more jumps over here. And you take a turn over here. And then this part's kind of stretch, but either it kind of reminds me of the dead end in Bowser Castle 2, where either A, you jump over and take the shortcut, and then you get good, like, and then you get a pretty big advantage. I mean, not that big, but pretty big lead, an okay enough lead, I guess. Kind of reminds me of the dead end in Bowser Castle 2, where it's like, and you need a feather, but this one you could kind of just jump over. Or B, you could just turn around it. Or C, you accidentally ram into it and don't know that's not where you're supposed to go. And you could, yeah, that's what this guy did. He tried doing it and he couldn't, and he failed. He messed up kind of bad. You take another turn over here, and then there's a couple of lakes, and then you go back to the beginning. But not before you take this big jump over here, which is really cool. I find that cool. A lot of people really like to say this is the best course in the game, but because of the similarities to Bowser Castle 2 and that end right there, it's not the best, but it's still alright. It's still an A tier, though. It's really solid. It's solid enough, though, minus that 8. And, anyways, Tiny Arena, the Wario Stadium ripoff. Maybe you're wondering, why Wario Stadium? First off...
Gina.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in the shower.
Okay. Sorry. Anyways, first off, it's a, how do I explain this? It is, a dirt bike arena. It literally looks like a dirt bike arena, and that's what Wario Stadium is supposed to be. And then it's a lot of dirt, and it's extremely long, and there's a lot of bumps. And you may be wondering, if you watch my Mario Kart 64 ranking video, you may be wondering, well, why is this track ranked significantly higher? Well, there's a reason you want to go off them, because you get boosts off of going jumps, and you could actually like drift and get boosts off of your drifts, and that's what makes this course extremely better. And fun fact, there's actually only 2 things I completed in the adventure mode of CTR first try, and those are Tiny Arena, and then Oxide's final boss fight in the first time you fight Oxide. And that is literally it. It's still pretty solid though. There's a lot of bumps and turns and turns, and there's a lot of bumps and turns, and it's very interesting and fun. I like this aesthetic they're going with. It's kind of like the cousin of Slide Coliseum and Turbo Track, because that's a similar background with all these futuristic buildings, and it does have a lot of it has the same exact soundtrack, but it doesn't have exactly the same aesthetic. But anyways, really solid track. It's just kind of long. That's the only issue I had with it. Anyways, next up we have Blizzard Bluff. This is kind of Polar Pass, except there's a couple less frustrating parts. Now it is kind of basic, but it still has a lot of fun parts in those. It still has a lot of fun parts, and the turns are really interesting and fun. And it still is really solid. It's really solid, even though it is kind of basic. Like there's quite a couple of jumps, and there's that big boulder that could crush you. And then you go through here with this little lake, and then you go back. And the only reason this beat Tiny Arena is just because it's short and it's like the length you want for a racing game. And if it wasn't the size it was, then Tiny Arena will probably be like somewhere around like S tier, but right now they're both stuck in A tier though. But this is a really solid course overall, and it is kind of basic, but still it has a lot of fun and interesting unique parts that make it stand out from the rest. Next up, this is my first S tier, Oxide Station, which is really nice. This is kind of Rainbow Road, as long as the track I ranked first place. They're kind of both remind me of Rainbow Road. This one is more like the N64 Rainbow Road though, because it's extremely long and there's walls a lot of everywhere, and there's a lot of bumps. But this one's really interesting and fun, and it's very unique. And it shows a lot of complexity, but this track is kind of just like you go through 3 separate there's like 4 sections. The middle section, this section, the section where you go into space, and then this section where you're trying to race to the end, where it's more of like a finish to the end, like where you build up your nerves, like, oh my god, am I gonna win or am I gonna not? Like, this section doesn't have a lot going on other than the turbo pads and the item boxes, and you really need to rely on items here. And that's what makes this course very interesting, is the separate sections that it is, and it has some diversity. It's really cool. I really like how you drift in here. It's a really complex track, but it's not as complex as you would think, and it gets outshined in by a couple other courses in this game though. It's the first S tier in this game though, and or at least not in order. It's literally the last course in the game. But anyways, next up, the Bowser Castle ripoff, Cortex Castle. And I mean, I don't think I have to explain this one. It's literally called Castle. It does have a slightly different aesthetic though. This is more medieval, while Bowser's is just kind of like, is more of like a, just lots of lava, enough lava to kill an elf, like enough lava that for the sun. But anyways, there's this fork in the road with that little shrub in the middle, and then you go back here. There's these outside sections which are really cool, and almost every turn in this course is a sharp one. Almost, because these two just couldn't follow the trend. Or at least they're kind of sharp corners. They're still round, but that's kind of... This section right here, you just kind of drive straight. It's nothing really that special. But it does hide this turbo pad, which is kind of cool. You jump down here. This is, you turn around here. And then there's two routes. You can either use this ramp to take this shortcut or go the long way and play it safe. This guy didn't do that, though. There's a super turbo pad with a big jump. And then you take a turn over here with another turbo pad, and then you go back to the start. This is a very unique course, and I really enjoy it. It's a very neat course, and I really I think it's, how do I describe this? It's a really solid course, and it's just, there isn't a lot to say other than it's very nice for drifting. I find it very fun and enjoyable through its kind of like, it sticks to one premise and it does it extremely well. Next up we have Hot Air Skyway, which is placing second place, which is actually the Rainbow Road kind of track of this game. It's kind of more akin to Wii Rainbow Road and how complex its track design is. Like, this kind of reminds me of Wii Rainbow Road because, like, there's a lot of places to fall off, and it's kind of difficult. It's more difficult than the final track, that's one thing for sure. You take a couple of turns into this spiral down here, which is really cool. And then you finally take this big jump over, and then you take this shortcut or not. It's really hard to. I can't consistently do that shortcut for some reason. Maybe I just have a skill issue. But anyways, you take this turn down, and then you go back down, and then you there's a lot of turns to this course and a lot of overlapping parts of the track. It's really complex and hard to explain. But it's really nice and interesting. And the only really frustrating part of this track is this is the only frustrating part of the track. It's this section where you need to take that turn, and like unless you have like a boost, you need a brake drift. So, yeah. It's still solid, though. And it's a really complex track for, and it is one of the last tracks in the game, so that makes sense. But, like, anytime you leave the, sides wide open to, like, fall off, you know you're gonna see some crazy speedrun shit on that course. Except for if it's Mario Kart 8. That game hasn't been broken yet, or at least not to my knowledge, at least for speedruns, so... It's a really solid course though, and I'd recommend playing this if you are skilled at this. If you're skilled at the other Crash Racing games, and haven't played this game, which is like 1 in 5 billion people, but I recommend you check this course out first if you really like skilled, really hard courses in kart racers. And if you're familiar with this game enough to play the hard courses. But anyways, really solid course, and I'd recommend checking it out. In first place, we have Engine Labs. And you guys may be wondering, why would you place this first? And well, really this course just embodies fast more than Turbo Track. how. I don't exactly know, but first you take this turn and take these drifts around these 90-degree corners like it's Cortex Castle, kind of. You take this jump and then drift back over. And now you're probably gonna have enough reserves for this big tunnel that gives you super turbo pad speed, which is really fun. And then you take this big drift over here with a big turn that really fits well with its drifting system. And you're gonna jump down here. You could either risk it for the turbo pads or get smushed maybe get smushed, or not do it and don't get smushed. But still, there's a lot of 90-degree turns, and there's this big jump over this big gap where you have to avoid these kind of squares. You have to take a turn over here, and there's a bunch of jumps, like a bunch of jumps. And the reason that this course is first place is fast, make brain go boingy, and make happy. And that was a very stupid way of saying it, but I had to say it. I just really like how fast it goes. And I really like how fast this course makes you go. I really find it enjoying, and I think it's the best course in Crash Team Racing. Anyways, that was the end of the video. Like, subscribe, share this with all of your friends, please. Please, and tell them subscribe, because I really need to get subscribers, man. Like, my most viewed video is like 36 views, but enough begging. Hope you guys have a good day, and bye.